Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session, Power BI from Zero to Hero. Steven and I are so happy to be able to share our knowledge with you, how easily you can start developing Power BI reports on top of Dynamics 365 Business Central data, even if you are not a developer. And then later you can use these Power BI reports inside the Business Central or any other tools. So let's start with the presentation. My name is Renato Fajdiga, and I'm coming from Croatia. I have more than 5 years of experience in implementing Dynamics NAV and 365 Business Central. I'm also the Microsoft MVP and Microsoft Certified Trainer. Currently, I work as a trainer for Platan together with Steven.
Hi, hello. My name is Steven Renders. I'm also a consultant with more than 15 years of experience as a trainer, a consultant, an MVP. I also work with Platan together with Renato and a couple of other colleagues, where I provide training consultancy, and I'm also working on a new program called Business Central Booster. And if you want to learn more about that, please go ahead and have a look at the website businesscentralbooster.com.
Thank you, Steven. So thank you again to our sponsors who are responsible to have such a nice event. And regarding our agenda today, we will start by describing what the Power BI is, what are the key concepts and what tool you can use in which scenario. After that, we will start looking at how you can connect Dynamics 365 Business Central and Power BI. What are the prerequisites, options to do that? After that, when you create your Power BI report, we will see how you can publish these reports to Power BI service and use it later in Dynamics 365 Business Central. Last but not least, we will show you how you can connect Power BI report with the Power Automate and Power App. So, when speaking about Power BI, I would like to point on two different scenarios and application. First one is the Power BI desktop. This is the free tool which you can use to get the data from Dynamics 365 Business Central. Either this data is in the cloud or on-premise. After that, you can modify or transform the data inside the Power BI desktop, create powerful measures and calculations on top of that data. What also you can do is integrate your Power BI with Power Apps, and in that way bring an entirely new dimension to Power BI. So you don't need to do calculations inside the Business Central. You can all do this inside the Power BI. When my data and reports are ready, the next logical step will be to share my reports with colleagues inside my organization or any other person. I can do that by publishing my Power BI reports to the Power BI service. In the Power BI service, then I can create various dashboards, which can be created again from the multiple reports, which can be connected to the multiple data sources. And then I can create a multiple workspace that combines dashboards, reports, data sources in one application, which I can then easily share with my colleagues inside the organization. All those reports and data are extremely secure because we use Office 365 authentication and so on. Power BI and Business Central. No matter where your data is stored, either in Dynamics 365 Business Central SaaS or Dynamics 365 Business Central on-prem, you can create and build reports in the same way as you are doing in the same way. After you create your report based on Dynamics 365 Business Central data, you can upload this report to the cloud, so Power BI service. When we have our report in Power BI service, we can use common language queries where you can ask Power BI questions about your data. So, for example, show me or what is the inventory on my green location. You can also then integrate your reports with Office 365, such as SharePoint, or use one of the predefined report templates for Dynamics 365 Business Central SaaS. So this will be kind of application inside the Dynamics 365 Business Central SaaS connection. After you are good with your reports in Power BI service, you can embed those reports on various external services, such as the web, so on the web page, or use these reports on your mobile, which is a really nice feature which you can use for the Power BI. And later today, we will show you how you can integrate these reports inside the Dynamics 365 Business Central. So we have possibility to integrate Power BI report inside the Dynamics 365 Business Central. And now to see how to create the Power BI reports based on the Business Central, Steven will show us the demo.
All right, let me share my screen. Perfect. Just double checking to see if you can see my screen. All right.
Yes, I can see your screen.
So the goal of my demo is to explain what you need to do to be able, for example, to create a report that looks like this one. So this is a finished report, which I named the customer's orders intake, on which you can see whatever is on the sales pipeline, the sales orders for our customers in Business Central. And you can visualize that in different ways. Now, the question is, how can you create such a report? Well, you need to think about the data that you require for your report. So in this case, we would like to be able to display some sales data and some information about customers and items. So you would need to be able to fetch sales information, item information, and customer information from Business Central. Now, Power BI Desktop has the possibility to get some data. So let me go to Power BI Desktop. Within Power BI Desktop, there is a Get Data button. What we typically do is you go to More, you wait for the pop-up to open, you select Online Services, and you can connect directly to Business Central. Now, what kind of information can this connector fetch? Well, it can connect to web services which are published in your Business Central tenant. And what can you publish as web services? Well, typically query objects and page objects. You can create those yourself. You can do that within the application using the Setup Reporting Data wizard, which is a wizard, or you can do it manually. And my recommendation would be to do that manually. So that would mean that you will need to create an extension. And let me open a small example. This is the extension that I used to be able to prepare this report. And in this extension, you can see that I have created 3 AL files, which are actually 3 queries. A customers query, an item query, and an order intake query. So you don't have to be a real developer to be able to create these objects, because as you can see, to be able to create a query that fetches customer information, you don't need to do much. You just need to define that you would like to create a query object. You give it a number and a name. And within the elements and the data item, you say, this is the table from which I would like to select data. And within the data item, you simply enter the columns you would like to fetch from that table. So here I'm fetching information from the customer table. I am fetching the number, the name, and the city. And within my query, I'm naming this customer number, customer name, and city. So that's it. Very similarly, I can also create an items query where I'm fetching information, excuse me, from the item table. I'm fetching the item number, item description, unit cost, and unit price. And for the order intake, the sales, which is currently on the sales line table, I'm fetching information from the sales line. Very simple. Now, I'm only interested in items which are in the sales line table, nothing else. So you can also apply filters on your tables if you would like to, using properties and even using code. And then I'm fetching from the sales line table a customer location, the item number, shipment date, and the quantities and the amounts. Of course, I can always also do all of that in one query, because a query object allows me to combine multiple tables, but I will not do this because the end goal is to be able to import this into Power BI Desktop in what I typically call a star schema, where in the center of the star, we typically have the facts table, the table that contains the numbers I would like to be able to analyze, the amount and the quantity. And then this fact table is going to be linked to points in the star, which are typically dimensional tables or lookup tables or attribute tables. It all depends how you would like to name that. And these tables, they contain properties, for example, information about items, information about customers, and some dates. And by building this kind of a data model, this allows me to be able to slice and dice the facts by item properties, date properties, customer properties. And what I typically try to do is for each of these tables in the data model to create a separate query. Why is that interesting? Because once the queries are published to Business Central and they become web services, you can also reuse them very easily in other reports. So actually, when you compare this with building a castle using Lego blocks, actually our queries are the Lego blocks that we are preparing. And then later we can reassemble these Lego blocks however we need to or want to, depending on the kind of report that we are creating. Now, once the queries are finished, one last step that you need to do is you need to create a small Excel file within the extension, which is called a tenant web service. And here you need to create a tenant web service collection in which you add all of the web services, all of the query objects you would like to publish as queries. You define the object type, you give them a name, an ID, and you publish them. And I have done that for all of my queries. That's it. So you define the queries, you create the XML file. By the way, this XML file can almost be automatically created using the correct web service collection snippets. But anyway, once you are ready, you publish the Visual Studio Code extension, and then what you will notice within your Business Central instance to where you publish, you can then go to the web services page, and there you will see all of your web services available. So let me open that page. If I'm going to sort this using the service name, I should be able to very quickly find the web services that I have published. If you give them proper names like I have done here, it's very easy to find them. And now Power BI Desktop will also be able to find these web services using the connector. You can import these tables one by one. You can create table relations. If the order intake is an item number and the item table has an item number, you can use that to create a many-to-one connection. So I have done that. Once the tables are related, you can then start to build, for example, a report using the methodology, which I typically name clicky, clicky, draggy, droppy. So actually it means you select one or multiple fields from a table, you drag them on the canvas, and then you can use all different kinds of visualizations to create your report. Here on this page, I am visualizing the order intake by quantity, and on this page, I'm actually doing that by amount. And as you can see, I have this very nice aquarium visual that I always use in demos, which is a custom visual that you can also import from the marketplace, which is very nice because there are hundreds of other visuals available there. You simply click on the button with the three dots and you go and look for the visual that you are interested in. So visualizing information is all very cool, but the base of it is actually preparing the correct queries. And this is actually how you can then create the report. Once you are ready, you click on the publish button. That will require you to log in to powerbi.com, which you can do with the same account that you use for Business Central. When you click on the publish button, your report will completely be uploaded to the Power BI service, and then you can very simply open your browser and also consult the report in powerbi.com. So it's a very brief and short demo on the steps that are required for you to be able to create such a report. Let me summarize this very, very briefly. You create one or multiple queries in Visual Studio Code. You publish them by creating the XML file. You import data into Power BI Desktop, you build a star model, and you create your relationships, you visualize, and you publish to the Power BI service.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for very nice and powerful examples on how you can bring the Business Central data to Power BI. Now I will again share my presentation. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so now I will continue where you stopped. and go with Power BI application. When we have our data source and we have our reports in the Power BI service, we can use Power BI applications. And Power BI applications out of the box brings the predefined reports and analysis to the Power BI. All that you need is, as a user is just provide the URL of your tenant, and you will get the data inside the Power BI. Out of the box, we have 3 Microsoft applications for Dynamics 365 Business Central SaaS. And once you have the data, you can modify these reports to your needs, or you can create your own Power BI application based on the reports and data set which you have in Power BI service. That way, you will be able to share reports and dashboards with your colleagues very easily. So let's go to our demo and see how we can use Power BI applications. Okay, I will open my Power BI. And this is my Power BI dashboard, and I'm logged in with my administrator account. So this is my administrator. To find the Power BI applications for the Business Central, I will go to the apps and click on Get Applications. And I see that I don't have any custom application, so I didn't make any custom application for now. But if I go to the apps in my app source, I can look for Dynamics 365 Business Central. I can find these 3 applications which are from the Microsoft. I also have the applications from the various partners, but I want to show you how we can use this out-of-the-box Microsoft application. And let's use this application, which contains reports about sales statistics. So I'll click on Get It Now. And Power BI service will ask me to install this application, and I will install the application. Okay, we need to wait a few seconds to application to be ready. And when it's ready, I will get this notification and I can click on Go to Application. Okay, get started with your new app. Don't show this again. When I click on my application, I get the message that I am viewing the sample data and that I need to connect my Power BI application for the Business Central with my data. So I will click on Connect Your Data. And here I need to enter my company name. So this is the company name inside the Business Central. And for my purposes, I'm using Kronos Netherlands. Type. And in the production and environment, I can choose production or sandbox. And I see that this is the sandbox environment. So I will just remove production and click on the next. And here I will sign in. It will ask me credentials for my user. So I can go with this one. And in a few seconds, when the authorization and authentication is done, I will get the real data inside my Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central Sales application. Okay, while we are waiting that this is uploading, I will show you how you can create your own application inside the Power BI service. So I will go back to my applications. And to create application, I need to create workspace. So to create workspaces, I will click on workspace and then create a workspace. Here in the workspace name, I will enter, for example, sales. In the description, I will say sales application. And I will save this. What will happen? On the left side, you will see that now I have my new workspace, so sales workspace. And in the list of workspaces, I will find this sales workspace. On the top, I have my workspace. So this is something what is my user using. So I see some customer orders intake. So these are reports which Steven created for us. And now I can use these reports in my workspace, in my sales workspace. To do this, I can easily just select my workspace. In the report type, I can click on 3 dots and save a copy. Okay, and it will ask you, where do you want to save this? And I will say, okay, I want to save this to my workspace sales. Okay, and I will save this. Now I will click on workspaces on the left side and navigate to my sales workspace. And here I will find my report. Okay, so this is now my workspace, which contains one of the report. This report has 2 pages, where I can analyze my sales. Now to package this as an application and to be able to share this with my colleagues, I need to create an application. So I will click on my sales workspace. I can also add new reports or upload some Power BI file. So I don't need to use existing reports. I can create a new one, build a new dashboard, and so on. Okay, but I will click on create an app. I will say sales app. I can upload some logo, or I can change the theme. So for example, this green one, and I will publish this application. Okay, after a few seconds, my application will be published, and I can go and see this application. And here now I have my application, which is based on customer orders intake report and these 2 pages. But this now is only shared with my user. So when I go back to the apps, I can see my sales application. Now I want to share this with my another user. So I will click on edit application. And I can click access. I want to share, for example, with my colleague, Renato, and I will give him a member rights, and I will click on add. Okay. Now I will close, and I will update the application. Okay. Now this sales application is shared with my user, Renato, and I will log in to the Power BI as a Renato. So here is my user, Renato. And if I go to applications and click on get and apps, I will see my application, which is created by my administrator. I'll click on get it now. And the application will be installed in my apps. When I click on this, you will get this error that you cannot see the reports because you don't have permission to underlying dataset. So what I need to return to my administrator user because I'm using the report which has the dataset which is not the part of this application. I need to grant also permission to this dataset to Renato. So, and this dataset is stored in my workspace. And here, if I go to my workspace dataset, I can click on manage permissions. And here I'll enter click on Add User and find my user. I will not allow to create new reports. Click on Add. And now Renato will be able to see the application and all the data inside the sales applications which are using this customer orders intake dataset. So when I go to my home, and if I now try to log in again with Renato, now I see that Renato is able to access these reports which has the customer orders intake dataset in behind. Okay, so these are custom applications. If I try to see again, if I am able to get this application, I see that now the report is updated. So this is standard application, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central Sales. So standard application with all my data from the Business Central. I can now, for example, go to each of these reports, embed these reports, or I don't know, if I go here back, I will see these reports in the workspace, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central Sales. So even when we install application which is from the Microsoft, we will get the reports and the workspace. And now I can go to the report section and edit each of these reports, for example, to match my company colors and so on. So this was the overview how you can use Power BI applications and how you can share this application and report with your colleagues. And let's now return to the presentation. So the next part which we will talk is embedding Power BI inside the Dynamics 365 Business Central. And the power of embedding the Power BI inside Dynamics 365 Business Central is in integrating Power BI reports inside Dynamics 365 Business Central Role Center or in the list pages as part of the Factbox page on the list. When you embed Power BI on either way, from Dynamics 365 Business Central, you can modify the reports, enable or disable reports, which will be shown on the screen. So for example, here we can see on the left side that we have embedded Power BI report on the list page, and on the right side, we see Power BI report on the role center. As I said, you can also use this Power BI report, embedding Power BI functionality to modify existing Power BI reports. And on that way, you can manipulate with the Power BI reports inside the Business Central. So your user doesn't need to go to the Power BI service and use Power BI service when he can use Power BI part inside the Business Central. And to get better view on the Power BI inside the Business Central, let's go to the demo. Okay. Here is my Power BI, and what I prepared for this demo is a small extension where I have my inventory by location. So I have my item ledger entries, I have my item numbers, remaining quantities, open quantities that I open field, and that I said that I only want to see item ledger entry which has open set to true. So this means that I have open entries. I also linked item dataset, item table to my item ledger entry because I want to get the description, base unit of measure, unit of cost, and so on. And I also using the query to get the information about locations. After that, I use the Power BI desktop to create such a report, which will show me my items per locations. And locations are cities inside the Netherlands. So I have this report, which is the standard chart. And I'm also using this tree map where I can see for some control. I connected my data. So here with my two data sources, which are connected to be able later to, for example, slice and dice. Okay, now when I'm ready with this report, I publish this report to my environment, so to my Power BI service. And when I go to Power BI, I see my reports here, items by locations. And this is my report, which show me my inventory per location. So for example, if I hover over this Rotterdam, I see that my Amsterdam lamp, I have 55 pieces on location Rotterdam. And the idea is now to see this report inside the Business Central. And to be able to see this, I'll go to my Business Central. So let's just refresh it for. Okay. So this is my sandbox. And if I go to the items, on the right side, I have Power BI reports fact box. If you don't see this, you can go to the actions, display, show hide Power BI reports. This functionality we also have on the customer list, vendor list. And here in the Power BI reports, I can click on select report, and I will find my items by location report, which is now inside the Power BI service. And I will click on enable. And I will click on OK. Okay. In the Power BI reports fact box, you will automatically see this filter pane, which will say, OK, now you are filtering your report based on item number. So when I go here, it will change this filtering. Okay, I will close this. And here I will expand a little bit my report. And now when I'm going through my list, I see what is the inventory of each of these items. And we said that we have this Amsterdam lamp. So let's find this item. So this is my item that I have 6 pieces, 55 pieces on the Rotterdam. I can also use all the functionality of the Power BI service inside this fact box. So for example, if I go to Mexico, I see that I have inventory 6 pieces on the Zaandam city, also then 3 on the Apeldoorn, and then I can zoom in or zoom out, and then I see that I also have 1 piece on the Amsterdam. And this is the inventory of my Mexico. And to be able to have this contextual filtering on my report, I need to include item number as a filter on all pages. So this will allow me to filter my Power BI report based on the selection on the list. Okay, so this was the first example. When I go home, so to my row center, I can easily see the Power BI reports inside the row center. So I will go like this. And here I can see more and more reports. So if I click select report, I can, for example, also add my report like this. And here now I see Power BI report for all locations, for all items. I can expand this report. And now I see my inventory for all location and for all the items. I see that now there is no filters which are applied. When I go back, I can, for example, go to the previous report. And then if I expand this, I will see on the bigger screen my sales on customer order intake. I can navigate through these reports pages on the bottom. So normal way like you are using your Power BI. What else I can do here on the dashboard, as well on the fact box, I can manage my report, which then will allows me to edit each of those reports for myself. So for example, I can go and I can change the chart and so on, and then I can, for example, save as this or replace the existing one. But I don't want to do this. I can ask a question. I can easily modify existing report, or I can create a new page inside my Power BI report. Okay. I'll click on cancel. I can refresh the page. I can upload the reports. If I have the Power BI file, I can easily upload a new report. And I can also see here that I have this Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central Sales applications, which we used in the previous examples when I show you how you can create the application. So for example, if I enable this, I see my reports inside this application. Now I expand this, and I can see all my various pages inside my Power BI report. This was how you can easily embed the Power BI reports inside the Business Central. And let's now continue with the presentation. So Steven, do we have time for the Power Platform?
I think we have. I will do it very shortly, and if there are any questions afterwards, you can always ask them, and I will answer. So let me demo, for example, what are the other possibilities with Power BI and the Power Platform. It's very easy, actually, once you've created your Power BI reports and dashboards, to also link them with Power Automate and Power Apps. And let me quickly demo that. And let me start again by sharing my screen. All right, should be coming in any moment now.
Yes, I can see.
Perfect. And what you can see here is that report that I created with the order intake. And once you have a report, you can actually use the little pin icon over these visuals to pin these visuals to an existing dashboard or to a new dashboard. And once that dashboard, for example, is then created, you have all of your visuals on here, and you can drag and drop them, you can resize them, you can create your dashboard, which is very nice, but that's pure Power BI functionality. Now, what I have created right here is another report where you can see the availability per item. So per item, I can see whatever is on stock, but also what's available. What's the difference? Well, the inventory is the inventory, and the availability is the inventory plus whatever is on purchase minus what is on sales. And I've created this counter, which is going to count how many items at this moment have a negative availability, so an inventory or an availability below 0. That's all very nice. That's handled by Power BI. And then I can create an alert. So I can click on Manage Alerts because I would like to be notified whenever this value changes is above or below 0 by email. And that's also pure Power BI functionality. Now, the next step would then, for example, be to go to Microsoft Power Automate, the application formerly known as Flow, and to create a flow. And what's actually also very nice is that there is actually a template you can use which can connect to all of the alerts that are or have been created within Power BI. Here you see an example. I can also connect to that same alert, and then I can do whatever I would like to do. I can do, for example, the sending of an email. I can modify this task, or I can replace this or insert some new steps and, for example, notify someone by Teams or do whatever I would like to do. So I can use Power Automate and connect to Power BI. Okay, very, very nice. What else can I do? You can also use, for example, Microsoft Power Apps. I'm going to go very quickly over that. If you go to Power Apps, you can also very easily create a Power App that connects to your Business Central data. Here I'm just clicking on the data sources I have available, and it's recognizing that it's able to connect to my Business Central instance, because I'm logged in with the same user here that I'm using within Business Central also. And when you select the Business Central instance or your credentials here, as you can see, after a couple of seconds, it should show me all of the environments that I have, production environments, sandboxes. Voila, here they are. I can select one of these, and then it will show me the available tables that I can use. And one of these is surely the item table. Voila. I can now click on connect, and the system is will create me an application. And this takes about 1 or 2 or 3 seconds, so to speak. And the Power App is ready. And once the Power App is ready, I can see there are 3 screens in here. A list screen to filter, a detail screen to see some details like a list page, card page, and then an edit screen. This app I can run, I can publish, I can make it available to my colleagues. And what I can then do, for example, is I can go back to my Power BI reports and complete the circle. What I can do actually is I can use the Power Apps visual, which is by default available in Power BI. I've done that. And that Power Apps visual should be able to connect to the app. Unfortunately, apparently it doesn't want to, because it might be connected to the wrong instance. Anyway, what should have happened is that we should be able to see that app within the Power BI report, and then you can embed it, and you can have the same functionality within the report than you actually have online. And that report you can then, of course, embed into Business Central. Now, it's a very short demo explaining some of the possibilities that that you have. What you need to remember, you can work within Power BI. You can use Power Automate to create workflows based on Business Central data, based on events in Power BI. You can use Power Apps to create some very nice looking apps using the API, which you can then embed within a Power BI report. So in theory, it's possible to create a Power BI report where you can not only see data, but you can also modify the data. Very short demo, just to make you aware of the possibilities that there are. And I also always say it's not because it's possible that it's always a good idea. So it is possible. It's up to you to figure out if it's a good idea to do that. In a certain case, yes or no. And that's my short demo about those possibilities.
Thank you, Stephen, about these possibilities of Power Platform, let's say, and the Business Central. And let's now finish our presentation with the thank you for attention, and thank you for being part of this webinar. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Here are our emails. So thank you again for joining us to this session about Power BI and the Business Central.
Same for me. A thank you for everyone. Also, a very big thank you to Renato for hosting this this together. And indeed, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.